Hello, welcome back to the North. In this video, we're going to cover my top 8 mistakes, beginner mistakes, when it comes to keeping discus. These are the mistakes I wish I had figured out sooner. I hope they help you out. Okay, so the first thing I would say, first biggest mistake was not enough filtration. And not enough of all of the different kinds. You want to have ample biological, mechanical, everything kind of filter. Every layer of it. I don't even want to get into it. There's other videos I've made on filtration. I have a section on filtration in the playlists. Check that out. But I didn't have enough of it. You go back to the earlier videos and you look at my tank. From a filtration perspective, it's very bare. And I took deaths because of that. The next thing on the list I'd like to touch is sort of related, but it's flow. A lot of when you do your research initially on discus, they're all going to tell you low flow, calm water. Hooey. You want flow. You want good flow. I have, when I combine all the filters together, if I add up the flow rates for each filter, I'm well over 2,000 gallons per hour flow in this tank. It's all pointing off in different directions from different sources, but there's a lot of movement in the water, and they need that. Discus actually come from the Amazon River, and it's a very, very high flow environment. If you watch the videos with the divers down there recording discus in their natural environment, they got to hang on to tree roots, or else the river will carry them away, the diver away. So to make themselves stationary, they have to lock themselves into something in order to film. So flow is a good thing. It keeps the fish healthy. It gives them something to swim in, and it reduces pathogens and bacteria in the water to keep when you keep the water moving instead of stagnant water. Stagnant water is great for bacteria growth. It's bad for fish. So lots of flow. The next thing I would say would be I didn't jump on to UV use fast enough. I should have really gotten into that sooner, because the normal research will lead you into doing near daily water changes, and that's one way to fight bacteria in your water column. And bacteria in your water column is really, it's basically deadly for discus. You're going to have a bad experience once you start getting into that problem, and it'll come because these guys eat a lot and they poop a lot, and you might be able to control it for a while without UV, but to be honest, it's a lot of work, and I don't like lots of work. UV makes discus just like any other cichlid tank. My water change schedule is no different than my Oscar tank, to be honest. It can last that long, probably even longer, because the Oscars are pretty darn messy. So I would definitely rank that up there as one of the biggest early mistakes that also cost me fish. I mean, I've got a fish that's struggling up there for different reasons. She's just anti-competitive, and she's hanging out in the back now because she's getting skinny. I just fed them some shrimp, and she just ate it, and she's been eating, and she poops clean. This is the one up here that I'm talking about. But failure to thrive. Sometimes you can do everything right, and you still get one that's just not able to keep up. I put her in another tank. She just got worse. She got depressed because she was alone. So she's been treated. It's all attitude in that fish, and she's got to decide to want to thrive, or she's not gonna. So I'm babying her by hand feeding her shrimp and stuff right now. But hopefully I get her strong enough to start doing what she's supposed to do. She's my only problem fish at the moment. Back to the things I should have done sooner. Mistakes I made in the beginning. Don't watch swamp tank videos. They're going to tell you all sorts of things you can do with discus that is just not true. So avoid those if you want to run discus. If you want to run guppies, have at it. It's fun stuff. You want rice fish and things like that. You can have a lot of fun with that way of fish keeping, but not for keeping discus. So the next big one that saves me a lot of headaches, thing I wish I'd done sooner. Barrel resting water. I've got those set up like little aquariums with sponge filters, and there's no life in them. They're dark, so they don't get algae problems or anything like that. And it's just pure bacteria in the barrels preparing my water before I put it in the tank. That made life a lot easier because tap water can change, and this helps you buffer that. Next early mistake I made, beef heart. I thought it would be great for my fish. When you do research on it, they're saying, oh, it'll fatten them up, it'll make them great, it'll make them grand. Nonsense. It'll just foul your water. And if your water fouls, your fish done. So don't use beef heart. I tried it. It didn't do me any favors. It probably caused me more problems than anything I've ever tried. So I've actually eliminated it now from my discus feeds. Don't use beef heart. Bad idea. You don't gain screwball using beef heart. So, yeah, dry foods and frozen live foods. That's all you need. Don't mess with the beef heart. It's too dirty. Also, sinking pellets. Stay away from that fine foods that float around. You want foods that don't foul your water. Try and find those foods. I've got videos up on that. I might even make a new one, but we won't get into that here. The next big early mistake I made when it comes to discus, and this does not apply to every fish in the world, but it does apply to discus in my thinking now, is quarantine. You come home with a new fish, you stuff it in your 20-gallon tanks, whatever you use them for. So boom, they go in here, right? Now these tanks, for one, they're not cycled in the same sense that my main tank is. Although I get the water from the same source, I treat it the same way, I even put the same barrel water in here, there's going to be a pH difference from my main tank. That's one problem that'll hurt me later when I move the fish, should I quarantine it. It won't be too drastic. It's really not that bad, but it is a bit stressful. That's one stress source of doing this. Secondly, the water fouls quickly, even with one fish in a 20-gallon, 30-gallon tank. You're locked in the daily water changes, and again, now because you're doing water changes, frequently you're shifting pHs around. You're just creating more stress. Thirdly, discus hate to be alone. They absolutely hate to be alone. And being alone actually stresses them out. It's significant. Some people think it's not a big deal. I believe it's a big deal, especially when it's a fish that came out of an environment with lots of other discus. It was raised that way and so on. It's certainly not accustomed to being alone. It might eventually get used to it if that's what you force on it. But when you bring it home, it's not used to that. And so you drop in the quarantine tank. Thirdly, and that's going to lead into one of my next things, is you bring it home, then you'll throw meds at it. So now it's been stressed from traveling, stressed from being in the small tank, stressed from being alone, stressed from not having really good strong filtration because those sponge filters ain't all that. No flow. Then you threw meds at it. You got like 80 layers of stress on the fish. And then you start wondering why half the fish you put in your quarantine tanks just die on you in your quarantine tanks. And then you think, well, thank God I didn't put that in my main tank because it died. Woof! And you keep doing it. But the truth is, it died because it was stressed out to the freaking max, and part of that was because you stuck it in your quarantine tank, threw meds at it when it didn't need meds. If you buy your fish from a reputable source, and you got to learn how to find that as well, learn how to identify sick fish, everything else. I don't know. What I do, people think is crazy, but reconsider long-term quarantine on new fish, because you're going to find you're going to lose the fish over here. The next huge big mistake I made initially with these fish was every time something was wrong, you jump on the meds. Like I said, throwing the fish in quarantine, you throw meds at them, or even if you're doing it in the main tank, and you basically become reliant on meds to solve your problems, even if you're treating the whole main tank. And if the knee-jerk reaction is jump to meds, solve the problem, and then 3 weeks later, oh, I better use the meds again, looks like it's coming back. If you're in that situation, it's time to change gears. Something is wrong. Your filtration ain't strong enough. Your substrate's too deep. You're not doing enough of something like gravel vacuuming and cleaning your filtration. Something's up and you need to adjust. So adjust faster. I wish adjusting quicker is something to repeated problems. If you see something reoccurring, you need to adjust. Something's off and you need to find a new solution. You need to figure out what it is.